Hi guys, today I'm going to talk something that's really cool. It's about discipline, and it's all kind of discipline. It's not just selling cars, or it's not just taking ups and how you do it. There's a whole bunch of discipline you have to have when you start to do big numbers. And the first thing I'm going to talk about, in fact, I talk about it every time I'm doing training, or every time I do phone calls, or every time I do a conference or something like that. And the first thing you do is you have to get figured out in your mind exactly what you're going to do and what the plan is. And it's the goal setting that gets you going and gets you fired up. If you don't know where you're going, you're lost, to be honest with you. You have to figure out exactly what you want and what you're willing to do for it. And it's not that hard. In my book, and I say this all the time, on page 7, it's the goal setting. Now, here's what will happen with the goal setting, because that covers everything you want to do. Once you get the goal setting figured out, it'll help you be more disciplined in doing the steps of the sales, the prospecting, and everything else you need to do. Go ahead. Hey, Trevor, how's it going? And when you write down 11 goals and you do, you put down what money can buy. And every time you get paid, you put a little bit of money in each of those accounts. You see, I spent thousands and thousands of dollars buying these programs, and they all say the same thing. Ed Beckley course, Carlton Sheets, the Milan course, Sean Higgins. I mean, some of them programs are $10,500 each. And the cool thing about it, they all say the same thing, is pay yourself first. What does that mean? That means scatter your money out and don't put it all your eggs in one basket. You just have to do what other people don't. And if you're not willing to do it, it's not going to work for you. So the main thing is, when you do these 11 goals in my book, there's a section there called prospecting. Now, in other words, every time you get paid, put a little money in each one of those prospecting accounts. Thank you, Richard. I appreciate that. And each time you do that, here's what happens to you mentally. And this is a discipline most people don't have. It takes discipline to go, when you get paid, put a little bit of money in each account. If you don't have any dreams and if you don't think you can do it, you're not going to do it. Look, nobody was worse than me. When I started, I had nothing. I wasn't aggressive. I had no clue about goals, but someone taught me. And the person that taught me was very successful. You see, all successful people leave clues. All you got to do is follow what they're doing if you want it. And the first thing everybody said, what's your goals? Well, I didn't. My goal for the first couple of months, was how many cars are you going to sell us? And then I started realizing I want to work for me. And that's when I started to buy these other training schedules, which I did. And like I said, a lot of it was real estate. Some of it was tax lien certificates. I started to expand my horizons and my goals because I invested in myself. You see, that's the discipline when you buy prospecting tools that you'll carry over in other parts of your life. And it's quite easy, but you have to take that first step. And you don't have to start with a lot of money. When I started, I wrote down real estate, racehorses, fly around the world, hunting, fishing, have my own game reserve, buy my grandmother's house. Everybody laughed at me, but about 2 people, my grandmother and my general manager. And that's all you need. You just need somebody in your corner, because the world doesn't care about you. And that's what I realized real quick. The world's not going to buy you a house. They're not going to buy you a car. They're not going to send you on vacation. So whatever you do, you have to go do it for yourself. And it starts off with personal goals. And it's not that hard, but it takes the discipline to do it. It's like the prospecting tools. It takes discipline when you don't have a lot of money to start. And believe me, I know. I did it. I went through the same thing a lot of you new people are doing. So you don't have to have $300, $400, $500 to buy a prospecting tool right off the bat, but it's a shame and it's a disaster if you don't do it down the road. So even if you only put $50 away in each account, put something in there, and so you get it back. And then when you get enough money to buy a prospecting tool, go buy one. It takes discipline to go buy another prospecting tool. And after a while, you get it really rocking and rolling. And it takes discipline to do that. Like phone calls. It takes discipline to make 40, 50, 60 phone calls a day. And that's where you need a daily routine, but that's in my book too. A lot of people say, I don't have people to call. I don't have people to do mailers. Well, that's how you do it, by starting out and going out and talking to people. The prospecting tools, because you have the discipline to buy some down the road, will get you customers down the road. This won't happen overnight, but I promise it will happen eventually. Hey, thanks for the comments, you guys. I appreciate it. By the way, if you like what's going on here, I appreciate you sharing with other people like this, because this is the real deal stuff. You know, I have rookies and professionals that are making $200,000-300,000 a year. Some of them are making more. I mean, there's a lady in, oh man, I forget her town. But anyway, her name is Tiffany. You know, she sells 40 cars a month. She works 45 hours a week. Nicholas Cutliff, he went to my workshop, and he jumped from 17 to 40 cars a month. It takes more courage for some of the old pros to jump and do this, but that's a discipline that they were looking to have all the time. They had it. They had the desire, they had the dreams, but somebody had to show them how. And it's so easy, you know, invest a little, make a lot. Invest nothing, make nothing. It's like prospecting tools. You know, you get some of that going on for you. It's impossible not to make money. Trevor, help me with this. Some of these, I'm trying to read what some of these guys are saying. By the way, thanks for the comments, guys. I appreciate it. Rico, thanks a lot for that.
If you hit the word show, it'll bring it up on the screen.
I got you. You got to bear with me here.
So there's what Rico said. Goals are the key to success.
Oh, that's it. You know, Rico, what a great guy. If you guys don't know him, he's probably one of the best in the country that I know of doing some of this stuff. And he's on my Facebook page. He's a great friend. The other thing I'm talking about is you know, the mailers, the phone calls. You know, if you want to sell a car a day, you know, do that daily routine. And that's in my book too. 1 or 2 ups, 1 or 2 appointments, 1 or 2 incoming phone calls. You know, it takes discipline to do that every day. Now, chart it like I did. You know, if you don't have 40 people to call, just start it out a little bit. Make a note how many calls you're making a day. You know, if you're doing 20, hey, shoot for 22. If you're doing 25, it'll get to 30. What happens when you go from like 20 to 30 cars a month? Your time will change. What I mean by that, you'll have more people to call, and therefore just keep increasing your numbers. You know, there'll come a time down the road when you do all this, and if you have the discipline to do it, you know, the people are going to come see you. You don't have to wait outside and take ups. That, I promise you that. You know, it's just like mailers. You know, if you don't have 40 people to mail a day, stop and think how easy this is. You know, if you guys have 2,000 names in your birthday system, is that a lot of names? To me, it's not. That's what, 6 mailers a day? Come on. I mean, that's probably the most important 6 minutes you're going to spend. You know, take a little time to do the things that you're supposed to do that's going to make money. I said it before. You know, I met a guy October 1988 that changed my life. And I'll say it every time I meet somebody that's awesome. You know, he said to me, other than God, what's the most important thing you have? Thinking like a businessman. And I said, family. He said, no, it's time. Think about it. Spend more time on the things that are going to make you all the money, and you have all the time you want with your family. But it takes discipline to do that. You're not going to get anywhere if you don't have the discipline. You see, the stuff that started in the car sales with me is the same thing that's going to happen to you guys. Like, as I bought more prospecting tools and had the discipline to do it, because Lord knows the other guys weren't going to do it. So I stayed away from the thumb-sucking crybabies that all they did was complain about no ops, bad weather, inventory, advertising, and everything else. I created my own following because I wanted to sell 30, 40, 50 cars a month, and I did. And you can do it too, but it takes the discipline to do that. You see, once you change your thinking here and said, you know, I want to sell 30 cars a month. Pick a number, I don't care, whatever it is. Okay, how am I going to do the 30 cars a month? Now, we all know prospecting works. We all know mailers work. We all know phone calls work. So just keep adding to it and figure out a way how you can get to those goals by the discipline to do more mailers, do more phone calls, and things like that. You know, it's so easy. When I started, you know, you have to have, you got to get a following of 2,000, 3,000 people right off the bat. So I did the hardest thing known to mankind is think. Okay, how am I going to get 2,000 people? And I just started a car business. I didn't have 2,000 customers I sold cars to. So I made a list of all my friends, relatives, acquaintances. And here's the discipline. I wrote down 250 names, and I made up my mind. I wasn't going to call anybody or do anything until I had my 250 names. So then I called them, and then I used that delivery check sheet in my book. By the way, that sheet alone will make you $20,000 a year if you do it. See, that's a deal. Nobody's going to do it for you. You got to do it. So then I called everybody up. I told them what I was doing. After I was done with the phone call, I put the whole family in my birthday system. So that 250 names will turn you into 1,000 names. So that was pretty quick, and it only took me like a month and a half to do that. I carried a little notepad with me. I don't care if I'd be driving or I'd be at a restaurant or something. If somebody's name popped in my mind, I'd write it down. But I didn't stop until I had 250 names. See, that's the discipline I'm talking about. Then you got to call everybody up. And after I hung up with them, after I put the whole family in my birthday system, then I mailed everybody a card with a magnet inside. It's a little step-by-step process. See, for you to do better, you have to get real good at what you're doing compared to everybody else. In other words, you have to be a master at doing the right things. It's no different than paperwork. Man, I used to be terrible at paperwork. And then my general manager said one day, Fran, I'd rather have you sell 30 cars than 50. Well, why is that? He said, because look here. He took me up to the main office, and they were all fixing my paperwork. I didn't have my insurance verifications right, or maybe my appraisal sheet didn't have miles on it or something like that. And because my general manager was such a nice guy, and the way he said it caught my attention. He said, Fran, it just costs you a lot of time not to do it right. I said, okay, Pat, you know what? I'll never do it again. I went from being probably the worst to the best. I did my paperwork right 100% of the time, so I never had to go back. And it just made sense to be disciplined to do the things that most people don't. It's no different than the steps of the sale. I hear this a lot, and I know guys that tell me you can't do it or I'm crazy, but let me tell you something. When you shortcut the steps of the sale, it costs you gross. And we talk about building value. I don't care. I had a gentleman buy several cars from me, Mr. Fox, and I still told him. I said, look, we're going on a demo. I don't care. I said, I owe it to you. Nothing's changed. And after we come back from a demo every time, we do a service walk. Now think about it. This guy's bought several cars from me. He knows everybody in the service department. But I walked him back there anyway. Why? I've had guys say, if somebody tells me they're buying a car, I'm selling them a car. Okay, go ahead. Do it your way. I'm trying to tell you how you get to 50 cars a month. Don't shortcut the steps of the sales. That's a discipline I'm talking about to be truly successful in the car business. Now, it was me. When I got back there, I'd say, hey, Mr. Fox, what happened, brother?
Nothing. You're still alive. Is it black?
Look, yeah. Well, anyway.
Put your finger on just
come around.
You just had to wake it up. It just went to sleep on you. You're still good.
Okay. Anyway, when Mr. Fox, and sorry about that, and just learning some of this stuff. Anyway, when you go back on that, and Mr. Fox was there, I said, Mr. Fox, I just want you to know nothing's changed. I'm still the same guy. I don't have to spend 5 minutes doing a service walk again, but I still have to go back there. I just want him to know I'm the same guy here for you after the sale. You see, you can't pay for that. You got to walk the walk. And hi, Timothy, glad you're in. But anyway, if you guys are liking what you hear, I appreciate you sharing this, because a lot of these guys in car sales don't understand this, and they don't get a chance to get the information. I hear it all the time. I don't think salespeople are lazy. I think sometimes they have to be taught. And the easiest thing is to be taught how to do big numbers, and it's the discipline. You see, it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep financially that gets you rocking and rolling here. I'm trying to tell you, when you become a master at the discipline that you need, man, your life's going to change, not just in car sales, but it change everything else. When you start putting money in those goals, eventually you'll get a lot of them. I talked to a young guy the other day. He's just a young guy. He sold 36 cars his 14th month in the business. I said, Dave, you're going to make 150 grand. He goes, oh, no, I'm going to make more than that. Well, think about what I'm saying. He gets it. And I keep trying. Every time you guys call me on the phone or we talk that, and I take the time to talk to you, I promise you, I always ask you, how you doing with those goals? Don't make the same mistake a lot of them make. And what I mean by that, it's exciting when you first start. You don't know any better, so you write down 11 goals. And after a while, you get one or two of them out of there. And next thing it goes to 8 or 6 goals. You're missing the boat. Remember I said when I bought all those courses, don't put all your money in one basket or pay yourself first. When you go below 11, you miss the boat. So you have to have 11. And no different than the steps of the sail. But it's easy with the discipline. Just pick a couple things that you know you're weak at or need improvement at and go for it. Don't let anybody stop you with that. How we doing? Hello, Jeremy. Oh, man, you guys are killing me. I love it. Hey, thanks for the nice comments.
And if you want to bring them up on the screen to highlight it, just hit the show, but then hit it again to hide it.
You know, you guys make my day. I've been doing this for 31 years. What's really special is you'll bump into somebody every now and then, like some of those names I mentioned. Justin Stanger. Here's a guy. I love this guy. He came to my workshop and he was making 60, 80 grand a year. He sent me a comment a while back. By the way, Justin, I love you. Here's a guy that made over $1 million in a couple years. Joey Book, Steve Garner, Doug Hilliard, Dave Kelly. These guys, they get it. They figured it out. And what's nice, a lot of them are general managers now. I mean, how can a guy go that was selling 17 cars a month and crank it up to 40 cars a month in a year? Well, that's Nicholas Cutler. What a great guy. He's one of the nicest guys you ever want to meet. I can go on and on and on and name different people around the country, but the key, it's your choice what to do. And the discipline is a major, major part of it. And I appreciate you guys taking the time to chat with me and making the comments here. I'll say this before I leave here. If you will, I appreciate you sharing this with somebody that might want to learn something. And believe me when I tell you, it's not that hard. Actually, the discipline made it more fun for me because I always had something to do, whether it's to make phone calls and whether it's to make phone calls or do prospecting or not short the steps of the sale, shortcut it, because that costs you money. The discipline that follows with that carries over in the other stuff. When I wanted to buy real estate and invested money in myself, when you're spending your own money, you get focused on what you have to do. And what's unfortunate in the car business, a lot of people never get this information. But, I appreciate you sharing this. By the way, if you like what you see here, I have other stuff that I go over a whole lot more. It's on frantaylor.net. It's on the prospecting. I have videos, I have audios and stuff like that. Some of these people that are making this $200,000-$300,000 a year, I promise you, those people can go anywhere in the country and do it in a short amount of time. People that think advice doesn't cost you anything. It sure does if you get bad advice. Believe me, I learned the hard way. Well, you don't have to learn the hard way. The hardest thing for me was to admit that was somebody smarter than me and do what they do. When you get out of that little barrier you might be in, like I was, and I wasn't that aggressive when I started. I was taught to be aggressive. I had nothing about gold. I didn't have a clue. But all that stuff I wrote down, like real estate, racehorses, flower rail, world hunting and fishing, let me tell you, this old boy got every one. And I'm not going to stop now. I even have bigger and better dreams. And the cool thing about it is I get to share what I did with them. And it's kind of neat when they share back their success stories. So, Bobby Ring, thanks a lot, too. I love all you guys. It's just awesome. Can you hear? I got to have Trevor help me out here. I appreciate you guys taking time. Once again, if you will, I appreciate you share some of this stuff.
Hold on.
Trevor's helping me out here.
See, hit hide then to make that go away. Let me show Joey's comment.
Yeah, there's Joey Book. What a great guy. How can you not love Joey if you guys know him? I mean, this guy was selling 17 cars a month. The first month with our program, he jumped to, I think it was 30. The second month, I think he did 39 and a half. I talk to Joey every now and then. What an awesome guy. Everybody should know all these top guys. He's working less hours and making more money. Yeah, you have to love and respect somebody who jumps in and says, I can do this. Well, I promise you this. You don't go from 17 to 40 cars a month without changing, and the discipline is what's going to do it. So once again, everybody, I appreciate you watching in and your comments. And if you'll share it with someone, I appreciate it. God bless you all. Have a great day.